Monster and
Monster Chick. You're watching History and Headlines with Granny Monster and the crew.
always remember to create, not hate.
History a lot smoother.
And headlines easy to read.
Would you marry a doll? I mean, a doll, not a living one. Felicity Catholic Rossi, 21, of Massachusetts, did, and a zombie one at that. After her father passed away, Felicity grew closer to the doll, whom she claims is 37 years old. The couple were married in Tiverton, Rhode Island, in an informal ceremony that cost around $500 and was attended by 4 close family friends and 8 of Felicity's other dolls. Quote, I married Kelly because I accepted her for who she is. I look past her bloody face and don't mind her not having a jaw. Unquote. Quote, I made sure that the whole wedding was done properly so it would be as official as possible, and we consummated the marriage afterwards. They're now, quote, hoping to have children and are considering various options such as a sperm donor. Felicity is a great fan of the horror genre, especially zombie movies, and the doll, named Kelly Rossi, was a gift to Felicity on her 13th birthday as a reward from her father for good grades. Felicity had seen Kelly on a creepy doll website and fell in love 3 years later. Quote, our relationship was on and off since I was 16, because I would tell myself that it was wrong and break it off. But love wins out. Quote, Kelly was the groom, as she takes the male role in our relationship. I feel she was most comfortable as the groom. Objectophilia. Those who develop a deep attachment, emotional and or romantic, and have relationships with specific inanimate objects. Another example of this, Erica Labrie, who met the Eiffel Tower in 2004 and married her love in 2007. She now goes by Erica Labrie Eiffel. If you would like to check in, graciously now please, with Felicity, she has a YouTube channel.
Here's a little ditty about candy. And why not? Let's sweeten the pot. Now this is brought to you by the BBC on mine, and of course the description will be down below. Now I've had these little discs when I was a kid, and I always thought they were quite yummy, and they do in fact have a picture of a castle on them. And this article goes on to tell quite a bit about the history of licorice and why it became such a big thing. It actually started out as medicine, interestingly enough, and even the picture of the castle, it too has its own story. And it goes all the way back to the time of the monks in the 16th century. There are a lot of dates and historical facts very, very well written here in this particular article. And also the owner of the most prevalent sweet shop that has continued to carry along the lineage of this particular candy is also then featured in the Guinness World Book of Records as being one of the oldest and most long-standing sweet shops. The entire family is involved in keeping it running and together and stocked and well supplied. Of course, there's a myriad of different sweets, but the one that we find the most intriguing has to do with, in fact, the licorice Okay? Some just amazing points of view. And there was actually wars and deaths and all kinds of things that surrounded this little peculiar black disc. So do check it out for yourselves. Thanks so much. I am your faithful Granny Monster, going back to ActionGal and her team. And I'm out. Deuces.
Port Chatham, a bay on the southern tip of the Kenai and former village of the same name, hardly seems like a setting for inexplicable terror and fright, but a series of mysterious disappearances and deaths, where the Kenai Mountains narrow before plunging into the North Pacific, give birth to rumors that began in the 1930s and continue to this day, and the rumors all point to the same thing. Something's not right around Port Chatham. Take, for instance, Andrew Camluck, who had gone out logging in 1931. He was found dead in the woods from a blow to the head. A piece of log-moving equipment nearby may have been used as a weapon. Around the same time, Elder Simeon Kazanoff of nearby Port Graham, present-day Nanwalek, said that a gold miner headed out for the day and just disappeared. No sign of the prospector was ever found. Sometimes later, Tom Larson went out to chop wood for fish traps when he saw something large and hairy on the beach. He ran back home for his rifle. When he returned to the water's edge, the thing just stared at him. Larson never could explain why he did not fire. Then in 1973, an Anchorage newspaper ran a piece on a retired school teacher who had taught in Port Chatham during World War II. She told of cannery workers who went into the mountains to hunt Dall sheep and bear but never returned. Search parties found no trace of them. Then rumors spread that a mutilated body, torn and dismembered in a fashion that didn't resemble wounds from a bear attack, had been swept by rains down the mountain and into the lagoon. Yikes. Other rumors include specifics of the beast's features. Hunters following signs of a moose came across man-like footprints that exceeded 18 inches in length. As they closed on the moose, they realized they and the owner of the big feet were tracking the same animal. The hunter soon came across matted down grass that held indications of an apparently life and death struggle. Beyond the grass, the hunters found no moose tracks, but the large man-like footprints continued upward into the cloud-draped mountains. So this thing took out a moose by itself? Yikes. The history of human habitation around Port Chatham is relatively short, you think? Even though the crook of her sheltering bay offers protection from a turbulent ocean. Captain Nathaniel Portlock, a member of the British Royal Navy, found sanctuary here in 1786 during his Alaska expedition and praised the site. Around 1900, an American firm brought in a fleet of fishing boats and built a cannery to take advantage of the calm waters and healthy run of salmon. The Russian Aleut village of Port Chatham grew around the cannery, and by all accounts it was quaint, tidy, in a beautiful setting nestled between the sea and vistas of snow-covered peaks. By 1921, residents established a post office. Sounds lovely. In an interview that ran in the October 2009 edition of the Homer Tribune, Nanwalek elder Manalea Helen Kalai, who was born in Port Chapman in 1934, gave insight into the demise of her hometown. She explained that her parents, along with the rest of the village, grew weary of being terrorized by a creature, the Aleut, called Nantinek, meaning half man, half beast. She said that many of the residents refused to venture into surrounding forests and over time abandoned their homes and the village school and moved up to the coast to Port Graham. Only the postmaster remained in Port Chapman, but the post office closed in 1950. Earlier records made by Portlock Cannery Management show that the site had been vacated once before. The cannery supervisor noted, In 1905, that all native workers evacuated the area because of something in the forest, but they returned to work at the cannery the following year. Stories did not stop with the abandonment of the village. A goat hunter in 1968 claimed to have been chased by a creature while he was hunting in the area. In 1973, 3 hunters took shelter there during a 3-day storm and claimed that each night something walked around their tent on what sounded like only 2 feet. 1990, an Anchorage paramedic was called out to aid a 70-year-old native who had suffered a heart attack but was incarcerated in the Eagle River Jail north of the city. While treating the man, the paramedic happened to mention he had hunted in the area of Port Chatham. The elderly man sat up, grabbed the medic by the shirt, and asked, "Did it bother you? Did you see it?" Oh, wow. And the mystery continues.